Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where it is time to land our mining station on the moon. We've arrived here and I believe we have sufficient fuel to get any of this done that we need to, so we should be absolutely okay at this point. We are currently at an altitude of about 32 kilometers. I would like to put us in a crater as a relatively flat-ish location. There's this crater here that is a possibility. There's also this crater down here. That said, maybe we should just put it on the surface somewhere and drive it to a flat location. That's a theoretical possibility, for sure. And then once we have a flat-ish location scoped out, then we can just land our lander and refuel it at the flat location. That's definitely a theoretical possibility. Let's align ourselves to horizontal velocity minus here. And we'll just do something kind of like that. Then the question becomes, where do we want to land this? Well, currently we're not in a fantastic position because the light is coming in from this way, right? And Kerbal is here. So I kind of feel like we need to take it around a while and let the positioning in the orbit change. So specifically, let it go around to about here or so. So that's a little wiggly, but sure, that works. Okay, so we'll put it about there. Cool, so now we have a few different options here. I'm thinking that we drop it somewhere around here. So we would do a maneuver here. I want to kill all of that horizontal speed, or pretty much all of it, and we would bring this down. That said, I'm thinking about instead doing a maneuver up over here and having that be inclination change. But I do want this to be equatorial. It'll be easiest to reach from the equator. Okay. Yeah, it'll have to be around here. I don't love the positioning of this crater. Maybe there's a better one on, like, the far side, but we would have some connection issues on the far side. And I don't want to have connection issues. So I think we're just going to have to choose a point and go for it. So it'll be something along the lines of that. Let's align to that node. There we go. And let's warp around to that. So that'll be fine. We're going to get rid of this horizontal speed. And then we're going to move any remaining fuel up here, ditch this, and we're going to operate based off of our landing thrusters at that point. That's the overall concept. So we're going to commence this burn. It's going to be about a 1 minute 38 second burn. Okay, we'll see how well we end up hitting this. And I want to rotate us this way just a smidge. Okay. And let's warp forward 40 seconds, 30, 20, and 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so we're going to burn off all of this speed. Our thrust to weight is not great. There's no doubt about that. And we should be in surface mode here. We may want to keep an eye on this. Well, we definitely want to keep an eye on that surface velocity. No doubt about that. I'm also keeping an eye on our overall positioning here. We want to land somewhere around here-ish, most likely. We'll see what that ends up looking like. Okay, so time to apoapsis is 5 seconds. That does not matter in the slightest. I want to change our rotation here to be about like this. There we go. So we just need to ditch as much horizontal speed as possible here. Our vertical speed, we can see, is barely building up right now. So that's absolutely fine. We're about halfway through this burn here. And we've got plenty of time for this. So this is not concerning at all. Looks good. About 200 more meters per second to go here. Now, I'm not actually concerned about this speed necessarily. I'm concerned about this speed. So we're just bringing that down. 160 meters per second to go. 150. So yeah, it's just a little bit lower. And that's because this takes a few other things into account that we don't actually care about. Okay, so this is looking reasonably fine. We're still going this direction. It's a little bit close, perhaps, to this wall over here, the crater wall. Slightly concerning. Okay, 10 meters per second to go. This is good enough. Cool. So now I'm going to transfer this fuel up here. So we're going to grab this fuel as well. That's already empty. Okay. We'll transfer that fuel up, and we're going to undock this guy. Fantastic. Now we're going to activate all of those engines. We are going to control from here, and we're going to set this to surface velocity minus. Beautiful. Something along the lines of that. So we're heading down. This is a pretty good spot to be heading nearly straight down. We do have a little bit of horizontal speed picking up underneath us, but that is okay. Cool. Now, this is not very distant from us. I'm just going to throttle us up very slightly here, just to get a little bit of space between us and this fuel tank. We don't need this anymore. So that is absolutely fine. We've now got about 1 minute and 12 seconds here until our landing burn begins, and this number is probably not strictly speaking accurate, so that is okay. We'll keep an eye on it, we'll utilize it, but it's actually probably pretty good at this point, now that I think about it. But yeah, we're coming in equatorially. I'm not necessarily loving this crater wall here. We'll see where we end up landing. I can't quite make out our landing site yet. We are still, after all, 18 kilometers up. But it's going to be somewhere down in here, I think. And that would be okay. We'd be okay with that. We don't want to land here, though. It's going to be like here. Nah, well, we'll see how that goes. We've got about 30 seconds left on our landing burn countdown. 25 seconds. Cool. This is, of course, where it can all go very, very wrong. No doubt about that. 15 seconds. 10 seconds until landing burn. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Landing burn commenced. Having a bit of trouble holding attitude, but we did manage to get there in the end. I zoomed out here for volume purposes. Is that our landing site right there? I think it might be. If that's the case, I don't love it. We can also see we picked up a fair amount of horizontal speed here, and that is increasing. Okay, that's concerning. No doubt about that, but we are slowing down nicely. We may want to... Ooh, hello. What the heck was that? Okay, we have a hard time steering. That is absolutely noted. We can realign. We've got some time here. And mark. Okay. We have... Okay, horizontal speed is going down and vertical speed is going down. That looks much better. That looks much, much better. We've got a fair amount of time right now. We do not have to be burning at this juncture. We can see our shadow here. 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, landing site is here. That is noted. Okay, we're just bringing this in, letting this reposition. We should start decelerating here. Okay, we did land at what cost? No cost. That was a little fast. Honestly, I'm surprised we didn't break any of these wheels. Okay, so we're currently sliding downhill. This is actually exactly the direction I want to be sliding here. So we're going to put this in kill rot, and I want to see if... Hang on. These are inverted from each other. Okay, so this steering direction should be normal. This steering direction should also be normal. Okay. I would like to... Hang on, we could just do this with reaction wheel. Reaction wheel would be the best way to do this, for sure. Let's just slowly turn this over this way. Now, I want to be coasting down this hill, right? And so that means accelerating. But we don't want to do too much. We've got our brakes on. Let's just position ourselves here, and we want to make our way for this flatter area down here. So brakes are on, but you can see we did go up by 0.1 meters per second. Now we went down by 0.1 meters per second. Okay, so our brakes are actually taking effect here. That is a good sign. I can't believe that we didn't break any of our wheels there. We impacted at a pretty high velocity, actually. That went surprisingly well. All things considered. I've restarted the game. I didn't accidentally leave crash damage turned off from some of the simulations, right? Let's double check that. No, it's not on. Okay, beautiful. So it just worked. I guess it probably was because the stress was stretched over so many wheels here. That's most likely what's going on. We need to turn this guy out over this way. And the Smart ASS is going to get turned off once we're done with this slide. We're going to clip through a lot of these rocks, although I think this one has a collider on it. Not that we can do too much about that, mind you. I'm going to turn our Smart ASS off for the moment, and I'm going to try to steer us using the wheels out over this way a bit. Cool. Something kind of like that, except we're still just kind of sliding this way, which is, mildly awkward. I suspect that this rock has a collider on it. No? Okay, I'm wrong. Good. That could have been bad. Actually, at these speeds, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. It probably would have just brought us to a halt. So I'm going to turn off our brakes action group for the time being. And what does that end up doing? Well, that allows us to roll here. And you can see we're picking up a lot of speed right now, actually. So I'm going to turn the brakes back on. And we're just trying to make our way. This is all inverted right now. Okay, let's invert all of these. Inverted, and these should also be inverted. Yes, that's more like it. So, we're trying to turn this way, but it's taking us the other way. Okay, sure. We can work with that. This is definitely how wheels are supposed to work. There's no doubt about that one. But we're just targeting this kind of flat portion right out over here. So that'll be okay. Let's turn our brakes back off for the moment, and we can just roll on down. So once we know where we want to park this thing, which is going to be right down here, then we'll have a pretty easy target to aim for when we're coming to refuel. So that'll be fine. We're picking up a little more speed than I'd like to see, so we're going to turn the brakes back on, which is causing it to want to turn. Let's put ourselves in kill rot here. That will be able to counteract that very easily because we have so much reaction wheel torque. So that looks good. Smart ASS goes back off, and brakes can be turned off as well. We're almost to this flat portion. Looks good. Let's just turn ourselves right on over here. We don't want to drift too hard here, of course. Okay. Brakes are going to be going back on, and we're still going downhill a decent amount here, but it's going to start going uphill very, very soon. Okay, let's turn ourselves out this direction. Definitely got some drifting going. Okay. We're very, very close here. You can see that the ground continues to go down until right about here. And that's exactly where we're headed. We just want to go to the low point here. So that looks good. We're also about 40 kilometers away from Strange Duck 1. I have no memory of Strange Duck 1. Okay, that's very weird. Yeah, this is pretty flat here at this point. It's still a little bit downhill. We're going to start going uphill very, very shortly, though. And we don't really want to go uphill, right? So we're just going to turn our brakes on. And let's bring this guy to a halt. Right around here or so. This is a relatively flat area. Of course, we landed up here and rolled right on down. This is relatively flat, and this should work just fine for our purposes. We may continue to drift sideways a little bit. That's probably okay. Is this... Yeah, this is good enough. Oh, it auto-quick-saved. Perfect. I was going to quick-save ourselves, but auto-save works. So let's extend all of this on out, and let's get set up. So we'll get our drills deployed, get our solar panels all done. We can turn the smart ASS off at this point. We should be able to be held in place just with our brakes. So that'll be fine. We'll start our surface harvester. And we'll start our surface harvester here as well. Cool. This is probably not an ideal location for mining, but that's fine. We don't actually care about that. And we can see that we are starting to build up our ore content. Beautiful. Next up, we'll start up our ISRU. There we go. And once that gets started up, there we go. We'll just start filling up these tanks. Perfect. So both of these tanks will eventually get full at this point. Now, this thing is not necessarily going to survive the night. And by survive, I mean in terms of power. I suspect that it is going to turn itself off, and we'll have to turn it back on occasionally. But this is now a permanent source of fuel out at the moon for us, and that is absolutely great. We don't have a huge amount of storage capacity here, and we might want to end up eventually bringing in another, like, almost a train module down here that has, like, a hinge on it that allows it to work kind of like a trailer, and that would be a both power storage unit and a fuel tank, a big fuel tank. So it would be something along those lines. I'm not sure if we're actually going to do that, though. So the next step, of course, would be to drop probably the HLS here. And then the HLS would be able to just land here, fuel up, fly back to the station, drop off its spare fuel, which, how much spare fuel would it have, really? We'd have to consider that. We'd have to have enough fuel to do another landing, so we would be able to take like half of the fuel out, or thereabouts. It would be interesting, for sure. I'm not exactly convinced on how that will play out. We'd want it to land and be basically out of fuel, right? And then it would attach here, and it would refuel via, well, what fuel we have here, as well as crafting the additional fuel. So that's definitely a concept, no doubt about it. I think we should prove the concept at least once before we end the series. So, to that end, let's hop back to the Space Center, and we need to launch another SLS, and this is going to be our final Artemis mission. And this is going to be proofing the refueling system. So this is going to head out to the moon, and they're going to meet up with the HLS at the Lunar Gateway, and we are going to... What is our fuel amount there? Well, we want to be at about half fuel, for sure. Well, that's not relevant for now. We are not going to get to the moon this episode yet. So we need to definitely launch this as soon as we can. So this is going to be carrying nothing other than an Orion module. We're not going to have anything for it. So this is just simply going to be an SLS Artemis 6, I think. Kind of. We don't need this component. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll put this guy on here. Perfect. So this is all we need for our SLS. Let's get this lifted off and take that up to the Lunar Gateway. Perfect. So this will be our final Artemis mission for this particular series. This is just proofing our lunar refueling system, which will put us into fully operational mode at this point. And we would be able to, do whatever science we wanted to do on the surface of the moon and whatnot. This just puts us into a mode where we basically never ever need to do a refueling mission, which would be awfully nice. Of course, it kind of depends on landing where the mining base is, but I mean, that makes sense. We would eventually build up like some sort of an outpost there or something like that. I think that's something better done in KSP2 though, to be honest, at this point. But let's just launch this off. That was an awkward launch. Not entirely sure what happened with that. It kind of tilted on launch. Very strange. Very, very strange. Well, let's lift this thing off. We don't really have any roll picking up. For a moment I thought we did, but no, we do not. Let's lift this thing off, get it through the atmosphere. That'll be absolutely great. So we're at about 6 kilometers right now. 7, 8, 9, and of course I'm talking about the apoapsis, not about our current altitude. 13, 14, and 15 kilometer apoapsis. So over we go here. We're just going to head to that 45-degree marker. And once there, we'll just wait for prograde, and then lock to prograde. Okay, so we're just putting it here. And orbital prograde is going to get caught up in a moment here. Okay, lock to prograde. Fantastic. So up we go, and we're going to be targeting a pretty high apoapsis here for sure. We're going to have our SRBs detaching in 3, 2, 1, 0. Mark. Goodbye, SRBs. And we've got an apoapsis height of about 80 kilometers. Let's just continue to bring this up. To be honest, at this point, we could be at horizontal velocity up. And I kind of want to be at horizontal velocity up, not prograde. So let's just move this guy right on over. Oh, we've got these Gigantors. They're not necessary. I should have gotten rid of them. Okay, it's fine. We'll just bring along some Gigantors. It'll be okay. They may blow up on impact, but we really don't need them for anything. Like, at all. Period. So this is absolutely fine. We see that apoapsis height going up nice and high. Let's just put this at about 250. That'll be okay. We've got lots of horizontal speed building up here. A little higher than this. There we go. That'll do. And from there, of course, we're going to circularize right about here. Bringing that up to about there or so. Looks good. That'll be 408 meters per second, or about half of what we've got left in this booster. We should probably extend a solar panel or two. We wouldn't want to run out of power, and we no longer need this launch escape system, so we'll get rid of that. Fantastic. So away goes the launch escape system, and we are just getting in position here. This is not the fastest of turners with this amount of weight. No shockers there. Okay, let's warp on forward. 3, 2, 1. And of course, we've got one more minute to go here. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and apparently we're going now. Okay, that was a little bit spicy on the warp, but it worked out well. I like it. That ended up being quite good. Okay, engine shutdown here. This is good enough. No major issues there. Let's check in on the moon. We'll set that as our target. 0.1 degrees off. That's not bad. But of course, we need to go in retrograde to the moon. So we're going to not set this as target. I want to do a maneuver here. Which one are we? We are this one. Okay. So I want to do a maneuver around here. This will be a prograde burn. We're going to need to come in retrograde to the moon. This will need to be a little later. Sometime around here or so. That is not retrograde right now. We'll need to toss in a little bit more DV to flip that right on around. And I like the 250 to 300 kilometer mark. Higher is a little bit better in terms of getting a more simple rendezvous. So we'll go for 300. Why not? Somewhere around here. Looks good. We'll align to that node, and the burn will be in 38 minutes. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to take our final Artemis mission out to the Lunar Gateway. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. I just realized we did not get our payment for the mining base. That's kind of important. Let's do that. You can leave your... Okay, I've completely forgotten where I was in the outro. I'm going to have to start that over again. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.